Hey, hey.
Hey,
What's up,
fellas.
fellas? How
What's
you doing?
happening?
Fancy finding you guys here.
Wow. Look at this. We're all like coordinated.
I see
Yeah.
we all got the memo. We're all sporting Big B Lee's famous hats there.
That's right.
Brian
Yep.
We
Lee.
just we just need Silver Diamond.
Oh man.
Oh
Look at
goodness!
all
If
the
you don't,
people.
if you don't know the story behind these hats, you should go watch Brian's video from the conference. It's all in there. How these
Yeah.
hats came about and why they came about. So, Brian Lee, we appreciate you making these hats for us, man. We really do.
Very
Real
much so.
nice. You got the little leather little strip on here, and it's real nice. There he is. He's in here.
Oh, Silver Diamond White Trash in the house. Glad to have you here, Mike Berry.
Yes, sir. Mike got one of them.
That's funny.
You know,
Classic.
guys, I just want to say this before we get started, before I forget. You know, we kind of build up the entire year knowing we're going to see a lot of our friends again, and we just literally had that time to spend with each other again. And although we had a lot of time to break bread and have dinner with each other and spend some more moments, I don't want to sound. I'm very thankful for those moments. Absolutely, they're absolute blessings, but it feels like we just don't get enough time with each other in person. You know, we've developed through the StreamTeam, through this community, we've built such meaningful relationships with each other that it just, like Mike Berry, Brian Lee, those guys, you get to miss them, and so now it's like, man, we're probably not going to see each other, unless we go on the Learning Yard traveling road show or something happens where we're going to be in the same neck of the woods. We won't see a lot of these fellas until next year, and that's a little sad, So for all the folks out there who stopped by the StreamTeam booth or took time to shake our hands and say hi to Bruce and Brian and myself, we just want you to know how much we appreciate your friendship and taking time to say hi at the conference. We're definitely looking forward to seeing you again next year and hopefully sooner. And I'm sure we'll get into it at some point tonight, but there's a couple opportunities where you'll be able to see Bruce and Brian and I in different parts of the country. So looking forward to seeing folks in person again.
That'll be crazy.
Yeah, it will be.
But you know what though? That's going to be that's awesome. To for the three of us to hang out again, it's awesome. Doesn't happen often. Doesn't happen as often as what it should.
Yeah.
But no, it's just awesome that we'll have the opportunity to hang out again. So
yeah, well, this whole thing's awesome. This and everything over here in the comment section, it's just really pretty darn cool. We appreciate everyone.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, this is a big show today. Congratulations, Brian, on reaching another subscriber milestone, man. It seems like it was just yesterday, and I think I can remember when your channel was in the 1,000 subscriber area.
So don't even ask me how I remember this stuff because I'm crazy with remembering numbers. So December 22nd of 2021 was our 1 year, and at that point I was at 1,600 and some odd subscribers. So this StreamTeam and really this isn't like a celebration, and I know what you guys will say, but this isn't a celebration more or less of my channel. This is a celebration of what we've built, because without you guys, without the whole community, none of this would be taking place. So, the channel hit a milestone, but I appreciate the two of you more than and the community more than everybody knows. So it's truly awesome hitting these milestones, So
well, give yourself some credit, Brian. You're not the guy who's looking for a pat on the back, but I think all of us could attest that you've put a lot of work into capturing your content and putting together videos that people want to keep seeing. That's a lot. That's an enormous amount of work. You know, I can say you've done a lot better job than I have for sure on getting content out consistently, and that's an enormous pile of work. And so hats off to you, Brian, for stepping up and walking through those open doors and putting out that content that folks are really hungry for. So congratulations, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
Look over here. We got 364 people in here, and that's just amazing.
Crazy.
You know, we had I think around 100 or more when we started the chat. So it's just really neat to see that. You know, I remember when we first started, it was like if we got 100 and over 100, 120, we thought it was pretty awesome, you know, and it is, but now it's a pretty common thing to get, you know, numbers like this. And so hopefully it'll keep growing. The biggest thing is this community. And of course, our individual channels, we appreciate all the support and we want to grow, but it's really not about us as much as it is everybody in here and the community and the just the vibes, man. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this who we have in here. Marianne.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And, you know, right over there, I'm pointing. It's kind of hidden just because of the color, but right there is that bourbon barrel, that board. So, Marianne, that thing is going with me whenever I do markets and that.
That's cool.
That right there is going with me. Yeah, that's, oh, man. Awesomeness. Yeah. You know, I've seen a couple people in here comment, like Phil commented, although, and he threw up a milestone there. He's been a member on the channel for 2 years.
Wow.
He threw a comment up. I did a live stream one time sitting in my garage putting frames together. And there was probably a handful of people, and I'm just sitting there stapling frames and gluing them and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. And Mike Berry, he threw up a comment also. This is what led this whole stream team to come together. Because when I used to do my lives years ago, and Mike hit the nail on the head, 2-3 people. I think the max that I had one time was 13, and I was all thrilled because I hit double-digit numbers, you know, people watching. But Mike Berry used to watch a couple of them, and you know, and then Brian Carlton turned you on to the lives, and here we are.
He did. He told me, he said, you should, because I was interested in doing live chats. He said, this Castle Hives guy, he really knows what he's doing. He does live chats. And so I flipped over, and I think you had like maybe 10 or 15 folks on there, and you just kind of enjoying it, just doing a good job with it, but having a good time. I can't remember who all was on there with you, but it was just having fun with it.
Anil used to watch. Phil, you know, Mike Berry would pop in every once in a while. Yeah. Fun stuff. A couple people, but you know, I mean, that's fine, you know. This community that we have now, that really, I think, like, I mean, it's been just over 2 years that, you know, it started with that conference, you know, that movement started, and now, you know, like going to the conference, and I mean, just you think of the number of people that walk up and say hello, and it's just amazing, you know.
It's fun stuff.
It is. It is. I mean, it's fun. Yeah.
Brian, did you ever think people would care enough about what you're doing for the community that they would want to come up and shake your hand and take a picture, have you sign a T-shirt or a hat or a Hive cover? I mean, did you ever think that what you were doing was meaningful enough to somebody else that you'd be in that kind of position?
Absolutely not. And that's honest. Absolutely not. I mean, sometimes it's kind of like, you know, it's nice, you know, having people come up and want to take a picture with you and that, but I never in a million years, when I started beekeeping years ago, and then when I killed them all and had to drive out to, I forget the exit, you know, and meet these guys pulling this trailer of, you know, packages and breaking a hive tool. That's the time that Dan broke that hive tool. I have no clue how a hive tool even broke. But meeting these guys out there on the road to start over again, I never, from that point to where it's at now, I never would have thought that, you know, people are going to walk up and say, Brian, I'd love to take a picture with you. And, but then, the one thing that really blew me away was walking into the conference this year, the expo, and there's Mr. Stepler there. He's frozen. And when I looked at, I saw your booth with Lorob's, and to the right of it, the Propola. And I looked at that wall of the boxes there, and you had like Marla Spivak, Ian, you guys, there were all these names, Cayman, and, Fred Dunn, and then mine was right in the middle there, and I was just like, how does that even fit in there with those other names on there? I was just that blew me away. So, and Matt and Jeff, they were just like, hey, these are this, that grouping of individuals are all people that support us and great beekeepers and supporting the community. And I'm just like, it's weird sometimes when I see my name thrown in with people like that, but whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Tom Nolan put on here, Bruce, what's up with the hat? I thought I was on the wrong channel. Yes, that's what I was telling you.
You have found Bruce's Achilles heel, Tom. Don't tell anybody else that.
Where's that comment?
I mean, it's here. But
Atlanta Braves represent.
That's what I was telling him. I'm telling him. I mean, that's my trademark, and it's not. I mean, I do love Alabama. I love the hat, but it's more about just that's how people recognize me almost now. But tell them a backstory on that. You may have noticed at the conference Brian Lee made these hats for us, and there is a backstory. If you want to kind of see exactly how it all transpired, you can watch the Bee Expo video that Brian put out at Castle Hives. But Brian Lee went to the effort to make these hats for us and spent a lot of time on it. He was in communication with me and picking out designs and kind of. So we, awesome. In honor of Brian tonight, we're wearing these hats. So that's why I'm wearing the Bruce's Bees hat instead of the Alabama.
They're so nice and clean. It's like I got to be careful where I actually wear it, because if I wear a hat this nice out somewhere, it'll be a matter of seconds before it's covered in chicken poop or who knows what.
I know, and I tell you so. And I know Brian's listening. Brian, I feel the same way. Like, this hat probably will not leave this room, and I'm only going to wear it on lives and things like that, because I don't want to, after a little while, it's going to have sweat stains and get dirty and everything else. And I don't want to do that, because this hat it's too darn nice.
It means a lot. Yeah. It's got a deep meaning to it. So that's right. Anyway, so, it's
oh man, 15 minutes in already. Jeez, oh man.
I know. Wow. So what's going on with you guys? I bet it's cold up there, isn't it? You guys got cold weather?
Yeah.
How cold's in your neck of the woods, Brian?
So this morning when I took Eli out, we were in the negative double digits. I've got a new weather station that I put out. And it's like a new little toy, because every time I go to take Eli out, I hit the button to pull up the wind chill. And, when you're below -10, -11, -12, it's just cold. But right now, I think it's close to shorts weather. I think we're at about 19 degrees right now.
Sounds like it.
Shorts weather.
Yeah, shorts weather soon. Yeah. When we break 20, shorts can come out.
I think that's about right. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, Greg, where are you at?
This morning it was 2 Fahrenheit with the, I don't know. I try not to look at the wind chill stuff, because it's just, I feel like the wind chill and the feels like numbers are like some kind of magical woo numbers that live off in magic land. That it's that cold, but we get the terrain here at the farm. It varies, especially here at the homestead. Is a ridge over from the farm, and you're talking about hills and valleys and ravines and hollers, and it's all different how the wind strikes. You get over at the farm, however, on the ridge, and when it's 2 degrees there in the morning, you've got 25-30 mile an hour winds coming across there. I mean, makes you reevaluate your position in life, kind of a cold. But you know it's cold here. Like I kind of have one gauge. This is going to be too much information. So if you don't want to hear about this, I'll give you a chance to kind of pause out of there. But if when it's how I can tell if it's too cold is when you first step outside. If your nose hairs freeze and your snot just turns into snot sickles like immediately, here I know it's okay. You can feel your nose just going.
You can hear.
Okay, now I'm probably gonna need gloves. It's probably gonna be a little bit too cold. But I tell you what, I've been leaning on heavily right now, as I just saw his name pop up, so I got to give him a shout out. Our pal Tennessee Tim McCandless, is just an incredible human. If you haven't heard his story yet, I would encourage you to go back, not right now, but later at a later time. Go back to the Nature's Image Farm YouTube channel and check out the video that bees saved my life. And it's an incredible story from Tennessee Tim McCandless, and he's been on such an incredible journey. You talk about a guy who's literally crying out to God, just give me one more chance on death's doorstep. And it's an honor to call him a friend. And here he is all these years later, plugging away and working on his health, working on his bees, working on joy and happiness. So Tim sent us a Christmas present here to the family. And it was a bunch of, I don't have it all with me here, but I've got the one that I'm using a lot. But he made a really beautiful, it's called Hemp Plus Salve. So it's got a lot of the salves that we make here out of comfrey, but he's got hemp and some other things in it.
Oh, wow.
And so it's a beautiful, let me see if I can open it and show you on the inside. It's just a beautiful salve, and I've been digging into it. It's so cold and so dry out here. It just absolutely just burns you up quick. And by the time you get into shipping products and you're handling cardboard and packing tape and all this your hands are just fried. So Tim, I want to thank you for that. It is coming in really handy. It's right here on deck. So it's cold. Luckily right now, as far as animals go, we're down to this time of year, we're down to, of course, the bees. But that's not, I don't really worry about that a whole lot. The chickens, of course. So you have all the typical, the kids are fighting through all the regular chicken chores and the water freezing and all those kind of things. So we're down to bees, chickens. Of course, we got a couple dogs and just a bunch of cats, and that's all pretty hardy. Luckily, we're not carrying cows over the winter time. We're not carrying pigs or anything else. It's just the bees and the chickens, which every morning I get up and it's just cold. I'm so thankful. There's no milk chores anymore. There's no moving cows to different pastures, no busting ice and getting them water. It's I'm thankful that bees is the primary livestock, but it's fixing to turn and get warm
next week.
Extremely warm, like 49, 50 degrees warm. After it's been 2 degrees, I think it's going to set a lot of colonies up for failure, having this hard of a swing so quick. But we'll see what happens. Bruce, why don't you go ahead and tell us how cold it is down there in the deep south of Dothan, Alabama, and rub it in our face.
Well, right now, currently, it is 35 degrees. However,
I would take it.
This morning it was 18 or 19, I think, and that's pretty cold for us. But it's like just that one night. I mean, so tonight it's going to be like maybe 25. Tomorrow night like 30. Then we're going to be back down to 19 on Sunday. But I mean, you get in the teens, and that for us that's pretty darn cold. And so everyone around here thinks they're going to die. It's just crazy. People are like, "Oh, it's so cold."
So I know, like last year, the South got hit with a pretty nasty cold that affected a lot of beekeepers. When is it like too late?
Yeah, the timing of that was the issue, not that it was cold.
It's
like right now, it was like a late freeze, and Mike Berry could probably specify better. Right here where I'm at, we didn't get cold enough to destroy everything. I mean, it affected us, but it didn't take out everything like it did in other parts. It didn't burn the tallow and things like that. But I think it was in March, like kind of mid to late March or something like that, after a lot of the trees had already and it had been pretty mild and warm, I think, was the problem. If it stays cold, it's not as much of an issue. But if it warms up and everything starts to leaf out and bloom out, and then leaf out, like the towel was leafing out. It wasn't bloomed yet, but
Yeah.
then if it freezes, then it just burns everything. And it just, I think the tallow actually responded and leafed out, but it just didn't make much of a crop for folks. And so, yeah, he says mid to late March. And so, that's the issue is we almost always have a big warm up, like in February, like where you think, man, spring's here. And then we'll have like a cold snap, but usually it's not cold like, teens like it is right now. And so, when we say a cold snap, it's like 35, 40, 45. It doesn't really freeze, but it's cold for us. When it's been in the 60s and 70s and all of a sudden it's 40, it feels really, really cold. And so, but typically that's what happened last year, I think, is we had a pretty hard freeze. Some folks did. I didn't get it too bad here, but a pretty hard freeze. It may have affected our privet some, but it didn't mess our towel up as bad as it did for Mike and those guys over there. So, but yeah, that's what's going on here. I did want to say, Greg, kind of follow up on the Tim McCandless situation. That video you made with him was one of the first videos I think I watched on your channel. Just so emotional, such a powerful video. A couple more years that are really powerful, the Bugs in the Box video and then the Picking Up the Pieces videos. So if folks haven't gone and watched Greg's channel, Nature's Image Farm, and seen those 3 videos particularly, and of course, Greg always does a professional job on everything. It's really well done. But man, those will just tug at your heartstrings. I mean, they're such good videos. And so check it out. It's interesting. I'm looking at these right here in the comments. I'm seeing names of folks that I met at the conference, the Bee Expo, that I didn't know their names or had never met them before. I see Glade in here, the Utah Bee Man, and some others. Steve Amos, I met him, and so many others. I hate to start naming people, I might forget somebody, but it's so cool to see people and put names of faces a little bit looking in here. It's pretty neat.
It's kind of scary because there was one specific name. Hope he doesn't hate me for pointing it out, but there is one name on here that we have seen. I mean, the name has popped up, so I know he's engaged a lot with the stream team, and that was Mr. Steve Amos. Yes. And so when we go to get checked in as vendors, and here's this giant of a man just towering over me with this huge beard, and then I go to say, hey, how's it going? What's your name? And it's Steve Amos, and I'm thinking, what? And then, so now it's funny when we look at the comments and we see the what do you call the name? There's a name for the someone's photo on their
avatar.
When I think of avatar, I think of those blue people with the tails. So I don't know why they call it an avatar, but anyways, when I see Steve Amos, his professional in a suit photo, and then there's a Steve that I know now. It's fun to know. I feel like you know somebody at least well enough that, hey, their photo there is different than the Steve we just seen. So it's really cool to be able to put the face to the name, but I see. It's like consider him a friend and you actually know him, Yeah.
When I saw him walk up, I was just like, wow, this dude's big.
Yeah.
He's got to be 8'5".
Yeah. It's not like you're a small guy, Greg. So, you're 6'2", you're like 6'2".
He might have dwarfed me even.
Yeah. So, hey, what are we doing here, Brian? I see the hashtag Queen Right Dial or QRD.
Yeah, QRD.
So explain what we're doing here.
So going to have a couple giveaways tonight. I've got two packs of our dials.
Oh, nice.
These are the new status indicators that just recently won that ever so awesome blue ribbon. But they are these indicators right here that let me just take the tops off. It's got, you've got your statuses for mated queen, supersede swarm, etc. And then you've got the year of the queen. These are the new ones also that have, they've got the middle sticker in there where you've got inspect, feed, treat. So you can really, it's like a post-inspection, no longer have to write anything down. You just use these things. So, but going to give away 2 packs of those. So everybody, just throw in hashtag QRD. And let me get you can tell that we've done giveaways here, huh? I didn't even have a notepad to write this down, but I guess I can watch it over again, huh?
I guess there's that. We need I need to talk with the R&D department at Queen Right Dial and see if we can maybe talk them into producing a special Nature's Image edition with little
Well,
pink triangles.
so yeah, we have something set up next week, and we'll chat because
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah,
Pepto Pink represent. That'd be cool.
How many entrances we got, Brian? How many folks we got so far?
93.
So
I think you need
Brian,
at least 100
Brian,
for that.
so we're warming up with the Queen Right Dial. What's coming later? Folks aren't going to want to leave this chat tonight because
I
you got
know.
something big. We're not going to tell you what time during the chat it's going to be, but sometime
Yeah.
tonight during this chat, what are we giving away?
Sometime tonight. So this is just, everybody that, when you throw out your super chats and everything else, this is just a way that I want to give back. And by giving back, it's somebody is going to win an instant vape compact.
Wow.
It's the brand new one. I would have purchased it ahead of time and then had it and sent it, but the issue there is what type of battery does the person use. So at some point, whenever tonight we do that, then and for each of these giveaways, basically if your name is picked, you'll email me. I'll throw my email across the bottom, and I want to verify that of course it's you, but and then once everything's verified, like for these dials, I'll send those out. For the instant vape, that'll probably just come from Lorob. I'll order it, and then I'll just the address, it's going to come to you. But that's just my way of saying thank you.
So,
Wow, that's a great prize for tonight, Brian.
Absolutely. So that's exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, that's
we need to experience more celebrations more often. Give away some good stuff.
Yeah,
that would be a good excuse to give stuff away. There it is. Are you going to spin it?
I like this. Look at this. We're getting all fancy now. If that landed on Yappy, I would have cracked up.
Get out of town.
That is awesome.
What in the world? Way to go, Yappy B-Man. Come on down.
Yes, sir. How about that? That is awesome.
Oh my!
How did you do that, Brian?
I just said that out loud. I'm like, if it lands on Yappy,
you summoned the wheel by saying that. It's bizarre.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Rigged.
Wow, this is rigged. Kenny Bach, I agree. I mean, I could have. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Well, so Yappy B-Man, I want to see these dials in one of your videos. You're going to be cutting out and you're going to be doing this and that. And you could say, you know what? Look at this. We found a mated queen in this colony.
You don't know what you're asking, because what Yappy will probably do is he'll take a video. He'll be at like a really sensitive cutout under like a historic house, right? And he'll cut the bees out, and then he'll attach these weird colored dial wheels, and he'll say something like set to 1988 or some kind of weird time traveler thing, and somebody will find it later. I'm thinking, what in the world's going on here? You leave it up to him, he'll think of something creative there.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah,
that's so awesome. Yeah.
So everybody, now that first one's, just keep throwing in the hashtag QRD just to get entered in for the second pack, and we'll do that drawing in I don't know, 5 minutes, whatever, 10 minutes. But yeah, that right there, that made me crack up. So Yappy, that's funny. So man.
Guys, as far as bees go, is there anything going on, from a bee perspective right now? Brian, what are you up to with yours? I know they're pretty much tucked away.
They are, yeah. And I went out the other day when we had that water break. I went and just made sure everything was good, and my stupid self, I forgot to put all my ratchet straps on my colonies after whenever I had checked them before. And luckily, when the water main broke and made a stream going through the apiary, the lid on my poly hive, it was the same day, like a week ago, when those nasty storms came through, The lid on my poly hive, Greg, you've been there, was over the 6-foot chain link fence and down in the woods. Luckily, I had a piece of Reflectix over top with the fondant on it, and they had propylized that. So my mom had gone down and got that, and then she just put a hive body on top of it just to secure it down. But everything's pretty good. I had one colony that I already had to give them their second fondant, but they're sitting good. I mean, I checked them with the thermal cam. I got to get used to that thing because there's different colorations on the one that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have it like on the right one, it doesn't look like anything.
Right.
So I need to play with that a little bit, but they're all sitting good. I mean, when I looked at even the farm ones I drove over the other day, and I just, peeked up, I didn't see them in the fondant. So, I lifted it up a little bit and looked down, and you could just see them just sitting in there, just shifting back and forth. So I thought, let them be, So,
wow, I see what you did there.
See,
Brian, that was clever, sneaky. I think you didn't even know you did. See, that's how you know when you're a 6K pro. You just start throwing out bee puns like you don't even know. They just come out of you like that.
Just boom, yeah.
Good job, Brian.
Probably in the next week, like what Greg said about that warm up, probably what I'm going to do is, if we get warm enough, that's going to be a point, because I didn't have the time to go out in December and do my solstice treat. But next week, if we're getting to the mid 40s, my plan, I can just real quick, OAM. So it'll be a perfect time that I could, because we're not, up here, I can't imagine that there's loads of brood yet. So we'll see, but I'm hoping Mother Nature gets us to about 45. So I can smoke them.
Yeah, that's about the same thing here too. We're going to be out there slinging both the Instant Vap Standard and the Instant Vap Compact. We'll be out just nuking them, just getting everybody as cleaned up as we possibly can. Take advantage of that break in the weather. We got to get out and get some fondant on some more of the colonies, and I like it. Personally, I like it when the temperatures are 42 to 45 degrees for OA, because those bees are in a loose cluster. They're not loose enough where they're going to spill out, or you have to worry about them coming on the entrance. They're loose enough to where they can still get that OA kind of mixed throughout the frames and the colonies. And then I personally, I'm sure the question will eventually come up. We're talking about it, so we'll maybe throw it in the conversation here quickly. But a lot of folks are extremely hesitant, nearly fearful of cracking their lids in the wintertime to check in on the bees. And a lot of folks, I just want to throw it out there, a lot of folks are so scared to crack open the lids in the wintertime that they will wait until March. And by that time, they're cracking open the lids and finding dead bees.
Dead outs, yeah.
A lot of times you'll find that it might be better to crack the lid now and double check, take a look, and actually put the fondant on them rather than wait until March to because you were too afraid to kind of do that. But that's what we'll be doing is I've got no problem cracking the lids in the wintertime, taking a peek in, throwing some fondant on, make sure we're treating them, taking advantage of that. It also, if you are selling nukes, it's a handy tool to be able to look through into your colonies to get a good idea of, okay, who's looking the strongest, how many can we count on, what's everything looking like, to get a good gauge on how many nukes that you can let go. And so it helps plan all that. But yeah, it's I wouldn't be afraid to get in there, and I would definitely take advantage of the cool weather to treat with oxalic acid for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
There's a question about Ryobi for the batteries, Ryobi batteries.
I'm pulling it up right here. So
yeah, I think, don't the Ryobi batteries have a different attachment, like it sticks up? And so I don't think they make them for the Ryobis. I think it's
for the Instant Vape Compact, it's DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, Rigid, and Bosch. So those 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think some of the batteries have a different attachment, like it's got a column instead of just a slide. and so it wouldn't be compatible for that. I believe that's kind of what I heard Rob talking to somebody about, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding.
Do
So
this. Look at that.
how many we got?
118.
You gonna go ahead and do it? There we go.
Love the music now.
Quick.
Call the
Plug
name
in.
out. Let's just call a name out and see if it strikes twice.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know.
I'm gonna say son of one.
Son of one.
Here we go. Son of one. Or Graham. Yeah. Oh,
Phil Weaver.
Phil. There you go, Phil. You the man, Phil.
All right. Phil, email me. Now I know how to get a hold of Yappy. Phil, email me. My email's on my, about page. It's and here, I'll throw it down into the chat. But Phil, email me and I will get look at that. He just said no way. Well, yes way, Phil. You'll have a 2-pack of these status indicators coming. So awesome. Congrats. So just email me and of course I'll need your address and get those out to you. So awesomeness. Greg disappeared.
Yeah.
The hat's too handsome for this GoPro camera apparently, and it's malfunctioning. Might have to put the old ugly hats back on.
Yeah. That's horrible.
We'll see if we can get it going here.
Yeah, Bruce. So you, let me see here.
Yeah, let me set them up a little bit. For those of you who saw my videos, I haven't put out a lot of videos lately, but a couple of them have been pretty popular. One of them is particularly dealing with the beetles that I had back in December. Went back up to the bee yard on Friday. I've got a video coming out, and you can see that they're, this is a little spoiler alert because there's not hardly anybody watching here, right, Brian? It's just the three of us.
It's just the three of us.
I still had beetles in Ozark. Nobody knows that though. I'm embarrassed by it, but anyway, so that's going to be in the video coming up. But a friend, someone that Brian kind of turned me on, and he just actually randomly, I think, just saw my video and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to help Bruce out." He's the bug farmer. I believe he's based out of Atlanta, Georgia area.
Yeah.
And he makes a thing called the Beetle Sucker 5000. You got that picture, Brian? Beetle Sucker 5000. So he made one of his videos, recent videos on his channel. I think it's the last one or one of the most recent ones he put up. He actually made a Beetle Sucker 5000 for me and sent it to me. Had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
And so I actually used it. I pulled the thing out and I used it on Friday. And there it is. You can't hardly see it, but down here
you weren't joking.
In the bottom of that beetle sucker, you can see the beetles about halfway up. You can see them kind of over to the side by the motor. And so it works. The battery ran out on me. I was spending so much time in each colony sucking up beetles that it ran out on me after about 5 or 6 colonies. But Brian, put that other one back up there. This is what I ended up with. And I want to tell y'all something. Now, if you ever decide you're going to catch beetles and then try to kill them later, let me tell you, it's very hard to do. Those little things are tough. You can smash them very easily with a Hive tool, but if you're trying to just kill them, I tried. I put them in soapy water. At first, I put it in soapy water for just a few minutes, and then I put them out over a screen, and they were crawling around. After a few minutes, they were crawling around. Then I put them in there for a couple of hours, and I started counting them. I left and watched the ball game and came back, and I had a pattern kind of like this on the towel, and then I came back and they weren't in the same pattern. They were almost dead, but they weren't dead yet. So what did I do? I put them in a bucket and I put them in the freezer, and that finally took care of them overnight. But I'm going to go ahead, for those who are watching this, because you're on here tonight, I'm going to tell you there are 907 beetles on that paper towel out of about, I think 5 or 6 colonies. So yes, wow. I had to be, but now that thing really eliminated. I went through almost every frame. I took a lot of time and I sucked up almost all the beetles in those particular colonies. So I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. Hopefully the beetles aren't really reproducing right now. I haven't seen any larvae anywhere, but they're just living amongst the bees. And I realized how tough they were when I tried to kill them over the weekend. And so it took me, and just imagine me sitting there counting these things out too. how fun that was.
Oh.
But I did it for you guys. I did it for for the viewers here.
Bruce,
so.
I'm noticing something.
What are you noticing?
Zoom back in there. Who is that? You, whoever's zooming in there. Keep zooming in. Okay, now go to screen right. There you go. Okay, I'm trying to think. We had a Hive Beetle expert on. Oh, it was Barry. Silver Diamond White Trash knows a lot about Hive Beetles. If you scroll around that screen, I'm seeing something that's a little different than what I see at home. There's, and I'm gonna admit that I don't know everything about bees, so forgive my terminology here, but there seems to be regular hive beetles and big hive beetles, like a lesser and a greater. And a lot of those that I'm seeing in these photos here, they look like the bigger ones that we normally see here, which I don't see a whole lot of. Does anybody know the difference between those two? Is it male, female? Are there two different races of hive beetles? But if you look at some of those photos, like if you keep scrolling, Brian, like some of those, they kind of have, like right here on the right hand side, that little grouping at the top of the screen. Yeah, right there, the one at the very top there. Yeah, that rascal there, and there were some other ones on the left. They kind of have a little bit of a different shape and a more elongated.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I've noticed that 95% of them are these round shaped ones, and then there are a few that are smaller and more slender, and they're much smaller.
Well, like, look at that joker right there.
But they're not very big. I mean, honestly, they're not very big. They look big on here, but they're not very big at all. But there are some that are much smaller, and so I don't know. These are the ones that I've always seen right here. These are typically the 99% of the beetles I see. I thought the other ones were just maybe baby ones or smaller ones. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it is the female is larger.
Female, so Paul Hale, the female is larger. That's
anyway.
Wild.
So I don't want to totally give you a spoiler, but there is a video coming out as soon as I can get. I'm almost got it finished up. I've been working on it now, and it's not going to be
crazy.
It's gonna be about this. I started off just like, hey, let's go in and check these hives out. Let's put some fondant on if they need it. Let's check them. And I ended up spending most of the time sucking up beetles, and so. But anyway. I really appreciate the Bug Farmer for sending me that thing for free. And now if you want to see how to make one of these, he did a video on how to make them. I don't believe he sells them, but he does. He customizes a little miniature vac and turns it into that. And it is very, very effective. It will occasionally suck up a bee, but it's, most of the time the bees are too big to go through. You can just, if it sucks it up, you can just pull it off the front and just release the bee, and it doesn't even hurt the bee. But it's just, you can get it. You can just like kind of brush the bees off or move them out of the way, and then you can just go to town and suck those beetles up. It really is a very effective tool. And if you're in a problem, it does take time, but if you're really in a problem, I think it's a way to greatly and drastically reduce your problem almost immediately. And so I appreciate the Bug Farmer for sending that to me. I might have another one. I might make another one myself, possibly. I may or may not. And so I'll have a couple of them to go faster or be able to like do more of it. But anyway, I really appreciate that. It's going to help me. I hope it's already helped with those colonies. The colonies actually looked, there are a couple of them. I thought one of them I was pretty sure was going to be on the way out. The other one, there was one other dead out in the ones I went through, but they were both, I think, one of them I know was it wasn't going to make it anyway. The cluster was too small, and the other one I'm not sure what happened. But for the most part, the bees actually seemed calm. They seemed happy, but they were just dealing with these hive beetles, because the beetles in the wintertime, I noticed they get down in the cells. I'm not sure if I've had some people tell me that the beetles are consuming the eggs and larvae. I don't know if that's true or not. Anyone who's a hive beetle who may know more about it than I do, that let me know if that's true here in the comment section. But because there's very few eggs, very little larvae. And down here we have some brood most of the wintertime. And these are like Michael Palmer queens and gray queens. And so I'm not sure what that may be just what happens in the wintertime, even though it's a little warmer here than it is up there. So I'm just not sure if it's genetics or if the beetles are actually consuming the brand new eggs and baby larvae that those queens, even though it was a small patch, might be trying to lay. And so I'm hoping to go in there next time whenever I check on them again and start seeing a little better strength of colony and but they seemed good. The beetle is so weird how the beetles just crawl amongst the bees. It's almost like they're part of the hive. They're just crawling in and out of the cells just like the bees are. And the bees aren't even trying to push them away or corral them out of the way. In the summertime, the bees corral them, they push them away, they keep them on the edges. But what I was seeing in these colonies was the beetles were just like living right amongst the bees. It was weird, and they, they were a little bit towards the outside of the hive, but they weren't pushed all the way to the edge like the bees often do. They weren't up at the top like they usually are. Very interesting. I've learned a lot about beetles. I've learned about how they thrive, what they do in the wintertime. I've learned about how tough they are, and I've learned a lot about them through this kind of a beam-again I've had up there in Ozark, but it's been interesting. So anyway, I thought you might be interested in that. But as far as the bees go, I haven't been in them much. It's been raining or kind of, it's either been raining or kind of cold, or it just hasn't worked out for me to get in my bees. And it's not necessarily a bad thing this time of the year, but I've been spending so much time up in Ozark, I haven't really done much with my other colonies except do some treatments. But as far as going through and checking them out and seeing the strength of them, I think they're in pretty good shape. Overall, I think my colonies are in pretty good shape for the most part.
It's a good question here from John Bertle asking thermal cam. Can you guys touch more on that? Which thermal are you using?
I've got right here, it's a Top Dawn, and you can see, well, here we go. Hang on. There I am. So that's
nice.
Full of hot air, looks like.
I'm full of hot air. Yeah. This one here, John, Top Dawn, they make one that's specific for Android, and then they make another one that's specific to Apple. So they've got two different models. I still have to learn this thing. It's just, it plugs in right on the bottom of the phone. It's got a nice little carry case that came with it. I know a lot of people have FLIRs. Lee that was on here has a FLIR, works really well for him. Greg, I think you've got a FLIR, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's an older one. It's a FLIR 1. I got a video, if you go back into the archives there. I can't remember. There was a bunch of things that I found that was absolutely contrary to northern wintering, that I was practicing northern wintering techniques based on some very reliable sources, and I thought I was doing the right thing until I put the FLIR cam on, and it absolutely blew my mind. And maybe we'll talk briefly here about what is the significance, importance, or is there even a necessity for thermal imaging when it comes to bees? Bruce, do you have in your neck of the woods, do you have any use for thermal imaging when it comes to bees at all?
Yeah, I mean, I know Yappy would probably agree. I think probably that it's really effective if you're trying to figure out where the bees are in a cutout. And I don't do a lot of cutouts, but my buddy Rusty, we went and did a couple 2 or 3 years ago, and he walked up to the side of that old abandoned house and just held it up there, and you could see right exactly where the signature of the bees was, and it made it very easy to know where to cut to get the bees out of there. And I think it's a good tool, an effective tool. If it is cold, you can see how where the clusters are, how big the clusters are, without having to crack open the lid of the hives. But, typically down here, we're never more than, a week away from being able to actually go through a colony. It usually heats up to 60s or 70s within no more than 5 to 7 days in a typical year. And so I don't think I think it's a fun thing to have and a good thing to have, but it's not really a necessity like it might be up north when they're buried under snow. And you want to be able just to get an idea of how strong the bees are, how they're doing in the wintertime without actually opening that lid up. So, but I do think it is an effective tool and a good, I don't have that set up, but it would be kind of fun to have it. I might get something like what Brian has, but my buddy Rusty has one that just plugs into his iPhone, and it just worked beautifully on that one cutout we did 2 or 3 years ago. It was a lot of fun, and it was so effective.
What about you, Brian? Do you find having a thermal is just a fun beak toy, or do you find that there's actual economic value having that on hand?
So everybody knows I like my gadgets. I've got a bore scope that I fish into the colony, into the hive, and I sit there and look at the bees. A thermal cam, as far as like the hobbyist beekeeper, is it necessary? Does it help out? Yes and no. Look at this. See
what is that?
So, watch this.
What in the world am I looking at here, Brian?
All right, so I forgot about this. David Burns sent me, like, if on Mac computers when I do a thumbs up, it shows me a thumbs up. If
Mine doesn't do that. It's
if
not
you do
fair.
2-piece, look at this, boom, huh?
Oh man.
Mine's not.
Yeah.
I guess we're all on Macs. You have to.
Yeah,
You have
mine
to do
doesn't
thumbs
work.
down of here. No.
I don't
It doesn't work.
know. Yeah,
I don't know.
but anyways, like for the hobbyist, does it give me peace of mind in that, yeah, I can check some of the colonies and see a heat signature? Yeah, if I found a dead out right now, would I do anything about it? I mean, when it's single digits and below zero, no. So, I guess it gives me that peace of mind a little bit. Now, if you're moving up to sideliner level, if you're a person that's doing cutouts like what Yappy does, Dirt Rooster, all of those others, yes, it's a huge benefit because you can look and you can actually see where they're at in the structure. But me, it's just I like my gadgets. So,
I think there is value. I have a FLIR one, and it was I recently got a new phone out of necessity because the port was not charging or communicating anymore. So the old FLIR, that was a FLIR one, and while the thermal imaging was phenomenal, the device itself was just a piece of junk. It constantly was losing connection and had a battery lifespan of about 20 seconds, it seemed. And so you would no sooner get out there and start to do something with it, and then it would die and crash and then take a really long time to charge. So I think it was more of a battery communication issue with the FLIR ones that would connect via the what do you call the iPhone port, Lightning, whatever that thing used to be before they changed to these USB.
I will say this model right here, this Top Don, I believe it was the Bug Farmer. He's another gadget guy like me. He showed this, and I thought, well, let me try it out. If it doesn't work, I was going to give it a couple days. If it didn't work, if I had any connection issues, I was going to send the bugger back just because I didn't want to have to deal with constantly having to, disconnect it from the phone, reconnect it.
Oh yeah, that was the FLIR.
It is solid. I mean, like literally, I can have it there. I plug it right in, and boom, it brings up the app.
That's cool.
And it's automatic. So
how much was that one, Brian?
They're cheaper than FLIRs.
Yeah, I think the FLIR was like less than $500 when I first got it.
Yeah, this Top Don, I'd have to look, but
I tell you where they make a lot of financial sense is if you are selling nukes and you are dumb enough to raise bees up north, and overwinter up north. It is handy because you can go through and quickly assess your yards and figure out how many dead outs you might have, how many are still living. That just helps for strategy and planning and projecting what you have to work with. So for that aspect alone, I think it's pretty handy. But I tell you where it's also has a lot of value. This is a quick story before you release the turn the wheel of fortune for the instant VAP. Is one of the things that I used to spend an enormous amount of time was overwintering, trying to find the best way to overwinter. And what we would do is we would take our 5-frame nukes and we would cluster them together. So they were all sharing the sidewalls, and then we would stack the nukes on top of each other. And my thought was that we're reducing the amount of wind and cooling in between each hive body by putting them together. And then I thought, well, if we put them on top of each other, it's the same thing's going to happen. We've got less thermal loss because things are close together. And what we actually found through thermal imaging is, I'll ask the question here, and we might already talked about it. So if you've already heard me talk about it, I guess you can throw the answer up. If anyone knows what we're going to say here, what do you think that I found when I took all of these nukes and I pushed them all together? They all had migratory lids, and I pushed all the nukes together so where they're sharing the sidewalls. do you think that the bees were clustering and using that heat from hive to hive and kind of sharing that joined wall space? Or do you think the bees are clustered in the center? Well, I was banking on the idea that the bees, it would actually be helping the bees to warm the colony, and that the bees would be kind of clustering in that warm space. Well, what I found is that the bees could care less about that, and they were clustering in the center of the colonies every single time. Not a single one of these colonies, year after year, were actually clustering on the side walls. And then what we were doing is we were measuring via the thermal cam, measuring the heat signature where the cluster was on colonies that we had pushed together versus colonies that we just had out on an individual stands with like a box width in between. What we actually found is that the outer portion, the outer airspace of that cluster was the same temperature in both configurations, and the cluster temperature was the same temperature in both configurations. So what I had found is that it did nothing for the heat signature for us or for thermal loss. The only thing that it possibly did was a wind break. But we keep pretty decent equipment to where there's not a bunch of big open cracks and gaps and things for a lot of air. So what we found is we didn't actually find a benefit. Where we actually found it hurt because of that is when we were stacking nukes on top of themselves like this. What we found is where the bottom of the top nuke met the lid of the bottom nuke, that when the heat is rising this way and the cold air is sinking this way, it was actually creating ice sheets in between here. It was actually creating like a bee freezer, a bee refrigerator. And one year it was so bad that every colony that was on the bottom where the ice sheet was above, every single colony was a dead out. Everything above the ice sheet lived. So I think there are times where these tools, it's cool and we can geek out, and we sometimes don't know how useful is that information. How can we actually put that into practice? How can it actually help our beekeeping? In this case, it showed me that going through all the rigmarole to try to get these bees in a better wintering position wasn't helping at all. It was actually hurting. And so we stopped doing that. So for that, I'm very thankful. Even though I didn't like the specific piece of equipment, I think if I were to do it again, I might look at the one that you've got there, Brian, or the standalone FLIRs, where it's its own self-contained charged unit. It was just handy having the photo and video attached right to your phone for video's sake.
Yeah, $249. These ones are. So, and I, to be honest, Greg, I've had it now several weeks. Yes, did I walk around the yard chasing the dog? It's worked out exceptionally well. Now, the other thing about this unit here that I have found, the range on this unit is phenomenal. In the summertime, I got this thing in the summer. In the summertime, we were having a horrible time with skunks around here. And I almost out 10 o'clock at night one time taking the pup out. I stepped and I turned and looked because I heard like commotion, and I was about 10 feet away from a skunk. I grabbed the dog real quick and I thought, no, so when I would go to take the dog out then at night, I could stand on our side porch and scan the entire yard with this thing. This thing picks up imaging well over 100 feet.
Yeah.
So it works really good. So,
that's pretty cool.
For the price, $249.
What's really cool is if you take a look at, I think I thought I saw last night. I was Susie and I stopped in. We were late getting there, but we stopped into the Fairfield County Beekeepers Association meeting, and we were late there. But it just reminded me. I thought I saw him on here. Chris Morrow. I think he goes under Drop Tine Farm, I think is his handle here. But anyways, Chris makes maple syrup. And what I thought was cool with the thermal imager is the bee yard where we were doing these trials and trying to figure out the best wintering was here at the homestead years ago. And there he is. And in the back of where all these colonies were at, we have a bunch of maples, so other hardwoods and some soft maples, but sugar maples and things too. What was absolutely amazing in January is to see the heat signature of trees, to see exactly how warm that these trees are already, pushing up 40-degree sap, even 50-degree sap in January. Unbelievable. And so I thought what would be neat is if Chris or anyone who does maple syrup, if you happen to have a thermal imaging camera, I think you might be able to foresee your flows by seeing as that sap starts to rise up, and you can see that thermal image start to get brighter and hotter, and get a temperature reading of it. It might help you gauge, at least guess a little closer when you might have some sap pushing out. But there's Roy Adams, FCBA. It was good seeing you there too, Roy.
It was good seeing him down in Nabby.
He's a good dude. I think we're gonna next. We're gonna need some other people. We're gonna need some more help with our booth. So I think we're gonna get Roy involved on the sales floor next year.
What's this over here?
Yeah, so it's there's a lot of really fun things happening. We were talking earlier about the community aspect of the team. A lot of fun to spend time with folks in person. There's one of the most upcoming events, February 9th. February 10th is the actual event. We're on the road February 9th. We'll be a speaker at the East Missouri Beekeepers Association workshop on February the 10th. There's also some really great speakers, not just me. Mr. Ed will be there. Nathan Coleman will also be there. I can't read that tight there, Brian, but there's a lot of great speakers, and there'll be some vendors there too in the St. Louis area. So if you are in the Missouri area and you'd like to stop out and say howdy and check out some great beekeeping talks, we'll be there. Nathan Coleman from Duck River, Jeff Horshoff with the Abbey, Jim Masucci with JDM Honey, Jennifer and Stanley Evans, Whiskey Trail Bees. And it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great information. It's fun to be able to go to different states and to kind of, we're going to go share kind of some parts of our journey with this beekeeping, queens and nukes, and some of these hard lessons learned along the way. So we're looking forward to giving that presentation to that group. But wait, there's more, because there is another conference in March, and it's the biggest conference in central Wisconsin. We'll have some links later. Check out the Nature's Image Farm page too. We'll be dropping links there too. But in central Wisconsin, Saturday, March 16th, Cayman will be speaking there. We're looking forward to it. I'll be speaking there as well. But the StreamTeam will also be there and be present. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So if you are in the Wisconsin area and you want to come out and see the StreamTeam, there's some great speakers. I'm absolutely honored to be in the mix with these fellows. We got David Peck from Better Bee, Chris Hansen, Rick Schneider, William Warning, Julie Evans, Randy Oliver, and the one and only Ian Stepler. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm honored to be a part of this with these speakers, but it's going to be a lot of fun because the StreamTeam is going to be there. So we'll be able to shake hands and spend some time with some folks too. That's, to me, is the sweet spots of these conferences and workshops, is getting to spend some time with people. So whether if you're near Missouri or you're up towards Wisconsin, we'll drop some links later on. Check it out. Come visit say hi. We'd love to see you there, and it's an honor to be able to spend some time with you guys. Brian, how many entries do you have for this Instant VAP?
161.
Wow.
I'll make sure that links for both of those conferences make it to the description. So if anybody's listening to this after, if anybody's listening now and you want links for those, if you're going to be in those areas, I'll get them in there. So shortly after the live, I'll get the links in there for you. So let's here, let me present, share. Look at this. Ooh.
Uh-oh, is the big one. The 5,000 celebration giveaway at Instant VAP Compact, brought to you by Castle Hives. Brian, congratulations.
What happened? Oh, there we go.
There we go. Spin that wheel.
Big one. I would have. Pastor Larry Hancock. That's awesome. Pastor
Larry Hancock, congratulations.
That is
The
awesome.
proud new owner of an Instant Vap Compact. Come on down.
That's awesome. Let me do this. So let me draw a second one
Back
that
up,
way.
just in case.
If for some reason, it does not work out that Pastor Larry gets it, let me draw again. And let's see who the backup is. Now the backup, you're not.
Oh, get out of town! No way! No, are you kidding me? This is like election season. This whole thing's rigged. Are you kidding me? What is going on here?
I'm dying.
Mike Berry, I hope the ink is dry on that check you just wrote. It looks like you just got a mic. You just got a new one.
I literally am dying right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's give out a new car.
Oh my. So
that's fun. That's cool.
Here, let me and I see Pastor Larry on there. Pastor Larry, email me. And Silver Diamond White Trash, the backup.
Hey, see? Tonight was all about the Silver Diamond White Trash quartet here. This is only 3 of the quartet. Mike Berry's the 4th. And
we should have had him come on for a few minutes.
Man.
Oh my gosh. That's unreal. Now, Pastor Larry, email me at the email that I put in there, and we'll have to figure out what type, number one, just because let me pull that up. There are different here is that unit. So it's the DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, Rigid, or Bosch. So we'll just have to figure out which one, and then you're going to get one of those bad boys. So I don't even have one of them. I've got one of the other instant vapes. So, but yeah, that compact is just a heck of a unit. So, but yeah, just email me and we'll make that happen. So, awesomeness. Awesome.
Well, Brian, 5,000 subscribers. What's you've had all kinds of different approaches on videos and graphics and all the things that you've done, and your quality of your videos and how you are sharing your journey and your story has adapted and evolved over all this time. What's been some of the highlights as you look back on 5,000 subscribers, Brian? What is something that really sticks out for you? Is there a certain video that you really like, man, this was one that I really enjoyed?
Like, I've heard people say the video that you're currently working on and that you're currently going to upload is the best video you ever made. I had a lot of fun, believe it or not, with the last one, with the one from Nabby, just because, or the Expo, I'll call it, just because it was just, I liked the energy that you got out of it. And it was just those short little tidbit segments. I enjoy like putting videos like that together. My wife and I, Tara and I, one of our vacations, I did a little video also there, and it was just little tidbit segments, and I enjoyed that also. But I don't know. I mean, just to pick one, man, it's hard to say. I mean, I enjoy uploading them all. Just, I want to share everything with everyone. So it's just how I've always been. I figure if I mess up, maybe somebody can point that out. And if there's one person that can learn from my mess up, well, then it's win-win, So I always try and stick by that 100% transparency. So as you guys know.
Well, if you've got a favorite video of Brian's over the years, leave it in the comments below here, especially after this video publishes to YouTube. Leave it in the comments on what your favorite video is. It'd be fun to see what resonates with them, Brian.
Yeah.
5K is a big deal. So
It's a little bit.
congratulations on that.
And I think like since the 5K, and I didn't even think that it would happen. But since the 5K, I think I'm almost at, I'm at 5,100 now already. So
You'll be at
Yeah,
10K
getting some
before you know it.
Getting some traction, yeah. Yeah, the thing I've noticed about Brian about your videos lately is that you've put a lot of effort into. I think you've always put a lot of effort into it, but like especially this last one, and there it is right there.
There he is.
That's the hat that Mike Berry got. It's the DWT. But I love the way you put that thing together, and like you said, it really did capture the energy. You know, I've seen some others that had a similar type energy to them, but yours was just short. It was concise. It was not real long, and it was easy just to kind of see the flow of the conference through the video. And you could tell you put a lot of effort into trying to pull the right clips in at the right time with the right amount of segments. Some of the clips were a little longer, some were shorter, but it just turned out, I thought, really nice. And I think you can see in your videos lately the way you're starting to add music and a little bit more with the thumbnails and everything. You're just working on your game. That's the key. It's just to try and get a little better each time. And some videos, frankly, in my experience, aren't as good as others. Some of them don't do as well as others. But the key is just to try and just up your game a little bit each time. And so
anyway. The
Anyway.
last few, and so you know what I have learned, and you know we're sitting the person that's right on over there, being the audio buff that he is. Every single time I edit my videos now, I have earbuds in that are just specifically used for when I edit. And it's so that I can hear the subtle differences between your left and right and everything. And I've learned sound is very, very important. You know, when you're doing videos, if you're using those external mics, they pick up different sounds. So I've, in the last, I'd say, it's been a few videos because Greg, even you commented, you said, I noticed in the last video that the audio was improved. And I just sit and I don't know how many times I'll listen to it, and it's just minor little tweaks, but it's going to make watching the video more enjoyable. If you can hear everything, and then I need to learn the camera angles and things like that. I need to, you know, improve on that, but it's a work in progress, you know, it is. So
yeah, that's the whole key, is just trying to get a little better each. I mean, I still have a long ways to go, but just got to keep working at it. Yeah, that is true, Greg. I mean, I think you brought a lot of knowledge to both me and Brian as far as the sound goes. Learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Happy to share.
I think what you find so often is that, you know, when you watch a lot of YouTube videos out there, especially folks who are kind of getting started, is the sound is almost, it's really difficult to hear kind of what's being said sometimes. And I'd encourage folks to go ahead and produce videos no matter what, but just, I think that's one learning curve I wish I'd kind of learned sooner. And I did try to get some mics and stuff, and I tried some different things early, but the sound is as important almost as the video footage that you take. The sound is so important, so critical. And so that's something that, you know, for those who are just getting started out or who are thinking about doing a YouTube channel, go ahead and consider just kind of try to maybe invest in something. Even if you can't afford the more expensive wireless mics, just get something that's going to work and help folks be able to hear you a little better. But yes, I can't remember who it was here asking about the mics. I know Brian and I both use the DJI mics, and Greg, I know you use it's a similar type thing. It's not the Rode, but it's another. But I mean, you just have to get something they've got several different ones that work well. And so
the thing about the mics is you can, there is a difference. I'm going on, what is that? Oh, nice.
I've got to show something there. So, and I didn't even realize this. I got an email from Pastor Larry, and it clicks right now. I know exactly who they are. I met him and his wife at the expo, and he said, "You have a picture, you know, with the yellow shirts," and I do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, I remember him.
Oh,
Absolutely, him and
Yeah,
his wife. I remember
you
them
know,
for
their
sure.
shirt caught me. I don't know that I got a chance to meet him, but their shirt caught me.
yeah.
It said something like
Hallelujah Bee Farm.
Hallelujah or and that stuck out. So that I enjoyed that.
That
So
is
cool. Well, that's
that's
great.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, go. I just read that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's truly awesome. Yeah. But Greg, what were you saying before I rudely
Oh, I can't
interrupted?
remember. I don't remember.
Something about mics. We're talking
Yeah.
about
We could probably have an entire.
yeah, we
I
could.
mean, if we could have an entire
We could.
series of that because the thing about audio and video is it's not necessarily that you've got different classifications of I think of the stylistic approach to a video. Sometimes you'll have videos that are stylistically pleasurable, the aesthetics visually. You'll have some that are pleasing on the audio side. But I think for the realm that a lot of us are getting into as far as putting these videos out, you can really let perfection be the enemy of good and put too much emphasis on
Mhm.
the quality of the microphone and the quality of the camera and the quality of the lens and what's your f-stop and what's your ISO and what is your frame rate and da 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 da. And it'll can put you into a place to where it impedes on your creativity because you think you have to capture it at this sample rate or at this frame rate. The truth of the matter is when you're sharing your journey and your experience, whatever that it is, the main thing is to have your presentation not be distracting. So you don't want a portion of it to be a hindrance or a distraction. That's the main thing. So if you can put out something where someone is not listening and saying, "Oh my gosh, do you hear all that wind?" or "I can only hear every other word," or "Look how shaky that is," or "I can't, I'm getting
Yeah.
seasick watching it." Those are the points to start to work on first, more so than which microphone, which lens, because you start going down a rabbit hole where you can go from Bruce. The quality of the equipment is no testament to the success of a channel because Bruce he's got a healthy number of subscribers and he's using an iPhone. The same thing with Ian Stepler, right? So don't
Mhm.
let that impede you.
Yeah.
If I told you how much money I've got invested in microphones and lenses and cameras, and we've got a relatively small channel, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to translate into subscribers. I am a nerd when it comes to audio engineering and when it comes to video and photography. I like certain things and I like a certain look. So when I'm trying to express what's on my heart or on my mind or what I'm trying to portray, I want that to look a certain way and sound a certain way. It's an art form, plain and simple. So no matter which set of Crayolas you're using is up to you. The main thing is just don't let your presentation be a distraction in one form or the other. And if it is, then work on changing that. Speaking of distractions, look at this guy.
Oh, that's Philip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yappy. Oh my.
What a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we
No,
can
but
geek out later on all that kind of stuff. I've got
yeah.
preferences. I've tested a lot of these, and the long and short is trash in, trash out. So make sure what you're capturing is good. And there is a lot of the magic, believe it or not, doesn't happen on. You want to get a good signal coming in. A lot of the magic actually happens in post,
I
and
got
so
my
that makes all the difference there. Look
I
at
got my
Brian.
bag.
Brian looks like, I mean,
I'm the
he's
here we go.
official.
Yeah.
He's got a vest, a sweater vest,
I
zip
got
up
my
vest with his name.
clean right dial with my
Man,
Captain Printastic on it.
Bruce, you know what this means, right?
What's
Yeah.
up?
We're going to start calling him Senor Brian.
I
That's
agree.
funny. No, but what for those out there that are listening that are thinking about, I think every conference, every expo, there's people that always ask, "What tips do you have as far as starting out?" And this right here, that's it. Because I'll tell you one thing that there's times where if I have to get something quick just done, If you add in the tripods and the mics and everything else, you're worried about these colonies and you're worried about beekeeping, but then you add on another layer of worry with all this audio and video, and it just becomes a headache sometimes. So,
Hindrance.
starting out with just this sometimes is not bad at all. These things, though, too,
They're good. They do a good job.
they do. I mean, they do an exceptional job. So it's just me. I've always gone the GoPro route just because I had one even before I started filming bee videos. So, I use them for other things, but a phone is perfect.
Yeah, you can absolutely get paralyzed if you start worrying about all that stuff. And people are like, I just don't know. I just can't, I'm not good at this or I'm not good at that. Listen, if you go back, I've got 400 and something videos on YouTube, and I started my channel back, I think, in 2014 when I injured my finger or somewhere around that time. And literally, I had an old Android back then. It was whatever it was really old. And I just started recording stuff. And it just is, compared to what I do now, I think I had no idea what I was doing. But some of those videos did pretty well. Now, there wasn't the competition back there, but I just started recording, and then I got away from it for a while, and I got serious about it again in 2018, and started trying to really improve. But you've just got to record. If you want to do it, you got to do it. And some people, they just want to have a YouTube channel to document what they're doing. They really don't care as much about growing and and that's okay. But you just got to work at it, just grow with it, just start doing it, to get a little better each time. I'm not going to mention any names, but we had a guy at the expo. We were talking to him, and he was asking us about, he's been putting out videos for a while, and his videos are pretty good, but he was asking about how to do thumbnails and things like that. And so just go ahead and start producing videos, and then you can learn all that stuff as you go and just get a little better each time. And you'll start off maybe with not the nicest equipment, not the nicest mics, but as time goes on and you learn more about what you want to do and you get in your groove and develop your style,
That's it.
you can start to upgrade a little by little. And
Yeah.
And it's just everybody. If you start trying to do what anybody else is doing and trying to imitate and copy them, it's not going to be legit. It's not going to be authentic.
Right.
So you have to be yourself, but try to just continue to improve and get better at what you do and who you are and how you present yourself.
Yeah.
And just don't worry about it so much. Just
Yeah.
there's a YouTube channel about YouTube channels, and so there's a lot of those out there telling you how to do good YouTube videos. But it's called Think Media. They give a lot of good advice, but one thing they say, their whole motto is you just have to press record. And so if you want to do it, just do it. I mean, don't get paralyzed and think you have to spend $1,000 on equipment. Just pull out your phone and start, open up a beehive, crack it open, and start talking about what you're seeing. And your first videos aren't going to be professional grade. I still don't think mine are professional grade, but it's something. And then learn how to upload it, learn the process, and give yourself probably, I don't know, give yourself a set number of videos just to learn how to use YouTube and upload. And then once you get to that number of videos uploaded, then kind of start to focus more and more on what you're doing and how to get better. But that's kind of what I would recommend. And everybody's a little bit different. You learn how to do thumbnails and titles, all that stuff. It kind of comes later. And still, I saw someone here earlier say, the ones I work the hardest on seem not to do very well. And that's kind of how it is sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
Anyway, just got to be yourself and try to get better. That's all I do. And I think that's all we're all trying to do on here.
Yeah, good points, Bruce.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been about an hour and a half on the big 5K show.
Yeah. What's in store in the next week?
Bruce, what's going on with you and your neck of the woods the coming week?
I really hope to be able to get in contact with my Hives for Heroes mentee, Lynn Warren. And if it's warm enough this weekend, would like to get her in some beehives and just see, let her start to kind of get in some beehive. Now, she's actually had bees before and they didn't make it. And so she's kind of starting over. And so she has a little bit of a head start on someone who's never been in a beehive before. But I'd like to, if I can get a hold of her and get her in the next couple of weeks, I want to get her in some beehives and start working with her a little bit. And I want to go through and finish kind of peeking on the Ozark colonies and just getting the old beetle sucker out, the beetle sucker 5000, and sucking up some more beetles and eliminating some more beetles. And I think that's going to really give me the upper hand there. Those hives looked way cleaner after I pulled almost 1,000 beetles out of like 5 colonies than they did before.
That's
Out
good.
of 5 or 6 colonies. And so, if I can get through them and get the beetles out of those, I think that'll help. And I'm just checking for weight, putting fondant on. The bees up in Ozark, actually, they've got weight. They look pretty decent. They're not like starving, at least not the ones I looked in the other day. And I didn't have to really apply fondant like I thought I was going to have to on many of them. And that could be because they're more frugal. Greg, you talk about your queens, and even Michael Palmer, I think it's a similar type deal where they're more frugal. So maybe they don't need as much food in the wintertime. So that's kind of where I'm at, just kind of trying to assess. But we are literally within at most a month, probably less than that. And it's going to be really game on here. The bees are probably starting to brood up now. I'm afraid when I get into some of these colonies I haven't been in a while, we're going to be dealing with some situations of some growth that I'm going to have to get a handle on pretty quick. That's how it typically is this time of the year. They explode so fast before you expect them to. The weather feels cold, it feels rainy and dreary, but then you pop open those hives and the bees are ahead of the game. There's something blooming or something happening, and they can get ahead of you if you're not careful. So I'm afraid that's going to happen. I haven't been on them as well this year as much as I normally am. And so we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. But it's about to get real exciting real fast here in Southeast Alabama.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah.
I do expect the video that I did the other day to drop here in the next couple of days as well. I'll be looking forward. It's going to be, it started out as one plan and turned into another, as often happens in the bee yard. But I hope you enjoyed it. It's not probably, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed it. It'll be fun, and you'll be able to see how that Beetle Sucker 5000 works. It's pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
I think it's funny that there's something called the Beetle Sucker 5. When you were first mentioning that, I guess I'm out of the loop, and I thought you were joking, but this is actually a Beetle Sucker outer. It's something that you'd see on the remember that show Home Improvement? You'd have old Tim the Toolman Taylor would have this thing, and whoa, the Beetle Sucker 5000.
The bug farmer took a little miniature vacuum, and he just turned it into, he just customized it for sucking up hive beetles and calls it the Beetle Sucker.
So I wonder if you use that thing, like if you were to go every week and just monitor, like when you go through those same colonies, if you see that there's a noticeable reduction in the number of beetles after using the Beetle Sucker 5000.
I mean, there's going to be for sure.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
I mean, I know there are 907 beetles less in those colonies.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wow.
To be exact, with them we'll have a margin of error of 2 or 3.
Yeah. right. Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
Greg, what's happening down at Nature's Image Farm?
Well, I'm sitting here today in the office here, and it looks out to the front of the building where we got all the windows, and I can see the flag kind of flowing around, flapping in the wind. And today we had blue skies that kind of came in there for just a minute. And I was just sitting here, and I just find myself just sometimes looking up and just thinking I'll get lost in whatever I'm thinking about. And I just got kind of overtaken there for a minute with excitement. It's the time of year where you feel like you're not really down and out, but you're digging in so hard, and the team here is just amazing. Everyone's working so hard around here to make things work here and keep growing this and making this an opportunity, not just for us, but for our kids and their kids. And so there's a lot going on, a lot to unpack there, but it's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to try to figure out for anyone who's in bee business. It's one of the most cutthroat businesses out there. But anyways, so you're dealing through all that, and I'm looking up, and I'm just enjoying seeing Old Glory just flap going across the window there, and you see the blue skies. And I was just kind of overtaken with excitement for queens this year. And so I'm starting to it's like the maple trees that are starting to pump and bring that sap back up out of the ground and bring life back up into the tree. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm feeling like. And today I got a little pump up of queens, and I'm really looking forward to being in the thick of queen season. So that was just a little motivation today, just something that I was thinking about. But everyone here is, we're just busy assembling equipment, getting them wax dipped. We're really excited to have launched officially. We've been dipping now for years, and we've developed our proprietary blend in a process that really hasn't been done like this before. Yeah, there you go. Brian's got one of the few rare hats, EnduraHive wax dipped. And we're really excited about this new product line and what the future holds for that. So we've been busy moving those systems and that part of the business forward. And we thank God for the blessings and the opportunities that have come because of that. And it's the rest of this week, the next couple weeks, we're just really hunkering down and making sure that we're doing a great job, getting a lot of these big orders fulfilled, and start to get things ready for our local customers here and also online sales. There's distributors across the country who are interested in carrying the EnduraHive wax dip line, or have us custom dip their products and then have them shipped back out on a semi. So things are growing, and it's a lot of fun. But right now, the name of the game is a lot of folks are getting their orders in for packages and nukes. And I saw Miss Carol commented earlier that she had got her order in for her nuke. So Carol, thank you for that. But this is the time of year to where if you are looking to get nukes from anybody or packages, you don't want to wait a whole lot longer. We're nearly sold out on one of the. We're going to do at least 3 routes this year, possibly 4. And we just sold the first one is just about nearly sold out. So it's exciting. But we want to thank everybody for their package orders, their nuke orders, their queen orders, and for all the folks who are interested in the EnduraHive wax dip line. We really appreciate you guys. So the name of the game for us is just to keep digging in, finish out this first part of the year strong, and just remember that it won't be long, and we'll be cracking lids and grafting queens and dropping cells and shipping queens across the country, and be blue skies and green pastures all around. So yeah, looking forward to that. What about you, Brian? What's coming up for you this next week?
Oh man, next I probably will do nothing touching the bees until next Tuesday when it warms up, and then it's going to be just go through and assess, their fondant, see their needs there, and then when we break, into the 40s, like I said, I'm gonna smoke them with the instant vape just to get that treatment on them. Yeah. So, but I do got to say, Steve gifted 5 memberships.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it
awesome.
Look at that. Brian Lee is now a member. Beehive Homestead, Jarrett. That's awesome. Creaker, I don't know, but appreciate you watching. Sirkin, I don't know, appreciate you watching. And Amanda Sparkle also. That is awesome.
Steve, that was a tremendous gifting. Steve, if you would, if I don't already have it, either go to the website and hit the contact us. Get me your address, Steve. I'm going to send you one of these to say thanks for doing that for Brian's channel. I'm going to send you one of these StreamTeam Nature's Image collab mugs. We're going to send that to you. So shoot us an email, Steve, and we'll send that to you. I think that's just a great testament of the type of folks in the community where Steve is giving the gift of your channel to 5 folks. I think that's awesome. So thanks, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, that's awesome. And Amy, welcome also. I think there was like Ed joined in, now those, and now Amy. I think that's like 7 new supporters of the channel here tonight. That's crazy. That's cool. Craziness. Yeah. So, but no, that's Brian, it. I mean,
what's up with you?
I know I have one video sitting, but it's a promotional video that the company was like, hold off, so they know I have the video ready and just waiting for them to say, hey, put it out. But then I started editing today the video on the flood, but I'm probably just going to tie that into, some other things as well. So, but I'll have a couple videos coming out here very shortly. So, just to have some updates on the apiary and make sure everybody stays in the loop on how things are going. So, but whose channel? Where are we at next week?
I think it's Bruce.
Bruce, yours? Okay.
I think it's mine, yeah.
So next week, Bruce's Bees.
Live from Hawaii. Bruce is flying us
Man,
all
I
out to
wish.
Hawaii for the big
I might.
Bruce Hawaii show, right, Bruce?
Yeah, I might put a background behind me with Hawaii. It look like we're in Hawaii, but I won't be there personally. No.
Last question before Greg does our final words like he always does. When will Greg possibly have some queens ready? I want to
Ooh.
get an order in to run some of your genetics.
Well, we'd be honored for you to have our genetics, Yappy. Right now, we are because we've been honest about this. We got absolutely humbled, and it felt more like crippled last year when we had the weather hit the way that it did. When we had several hundred queens out in the yard, and I didn't like what I seen because of how much rain that we had during their mating season, during their mating flight. And we go through and pinch all those queens, knowing we had queen cells as a backup, and we dropped all the queen cells in as backups. And then we had sub-zero temperatures that caused all the bees to cluster away from those cells. That set us back yet another cycle. And so we did something a lot different this year with our queen orders. So first and foremost, any rollover queens from last year get fulfilled first. And typically we know we can pre-sell 60% or so, 70% of the queens that we typically do a year. This year we didn't even do that. We maybe took pre-orders for about 25%. And so what that's going to do is kind of free us up to still make, hopefully, and we're a small scale, guys. We are not a large queen outfit. We're not going to raise more than probably 2,000 or 3,000 queens this year. And so what we're doing is we only are going to pre-sell a small amount. And then once those orders are fulfilled, hopefully we'll have an extra 75 to 100 queens a week. And then what we can do is then go through our lists and then make those available for folks. So the reason why I said all that is that we are already sold out on the guaranteed pre-orders queens until probably mid-July right now, possibly the end of July, which is actually great timing for solstice queens, in my opinion. That works out really great for that. So Yappy, we talk a lot. Just put the bug in my ear, and we'll get you on that list to call as soon as we have those extra queens throughout the year, and maybe we can get your queens to you earlier. But we'd be honored to have our queens go to anybody. We ship across the country. One thing that we're also doing, we've kind of been a little quiet about it, is we are really doubling down on our breeder queens and our genetics here. We're going to be really heavily investing in inseminating queens here, but also our breeder queens. We've got so many beautiful genetic possibilities here that we're going to be also offering some pretty rare opportunities for queens that possibly have what may be called a VSH Appalachian mite mauler, where we've crossed some known VSH lines with our double Caucasians. But I really got to see how those turn out in the spring, just because those VSH ones have a tendency of being a little ornery. And that's not something that we are willing to risk in our genetic pool. So if they are ornery in the spring, we're either going to find a market for somebody who really likes ornery bees, or we'll just pinch them all and move on, because whether or not the VSH trait is worthwhile or not is a different conversation. But having bees that have an attitude problem isn't something that we're willing to have influenced in our bees for the sake of a small gain, if there is a gain on hygienic nature. So that's a conversation for another day, but don't get me start talking about queens. But we're looking forward to doing a lot more with queens this year. And as the years unfold, you guys will notice that will be what most of our offerings will start gearing towards. Rather than packages and nukes, will be primarily focused on queens and our inseminated line of queens.
Awesome. Well, Greg, what final words? Because I can't. I don't hit the level of final words that you offer.
Well,
bring it home, Greg. Bring it home, Greg.
Yeah, bring it on home, buddy. Bring it home.
Brian, 5K is an incredible accomplishment. There are so many folks here that are friends of ours that are in the comments. They spend every Wednesday with us. They watch all of our videos. They travel across the country to go to bee conferences, to shake your hand, to say hello, not to pat you on the back or to put you on a pedestal, but to just simply say thank you for putting the work in, for sharing who you are, what you're doing with your bees, and sharing that journey and that experience is such a beautiful thing. And Brian, you have found a niche way to do it. It's so transparent. It's so genuine. What you do is obviously full of integrity, and I think that matters. I know that it matters because your channel wouldn't grow at the rate that it has if it didn't. Your channel wouldn't grow to this 5K if folks weren't voting with their view hours, if they weren't subscribing, if they weren't liking, if they weren't sharing it. YouTube would not be rewarding that algorithm. And so I think that's something that's important to think about is no matter how good of a job you think you are or you're not doing, people really appreciate you, Brian. I know Bruce and I, we appreciate you. We appreciate the collaboration on all of our channels combined together. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next 5K not only holds for your channel, but more importantly, what the future holds for Brian at Castle Hives and his journey with the bees and how you share that with this audience. So from all of us here at the Stream Team, we want to thank everybody for spending time with us every single Wednesday. As we talk about bees, we talk about life, we get real with things. We are who we are, and we're not afraid to share or express that. We really love you guys and appreciate you for spending time with us, for supporting all of our individual efforts, the collaborative effort. If it were not for you guys, we wouldn't be here doing this. And so to celebrate 5K with Brian is such an amazing accomplishment. It wouldn't happen if it weren't for all of our friends here in the comments. So from all of us here at the Stream Team, we want to thank you for spending time with us here live tonight on the Stream Team Beekeeping Chat, or if you're listening to the replay later, we appreciate you and we thank you for spending time with us. Until we see you next time, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the Bruce's Bees channel, I want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.